Hello, my dears. This is Annette of AnnetteLeonard.com, back with Chronic Wellness. Thank you for joining me. Those of you who have kept up with things happening here on this channel know that I have just come off of an extended period of time by myself. As a matter of fact, my wife and I quarantined from each other after the holidays, or beginning before Thanksgiving, for a total of 18 days, 19 days. It is the longest stretch of time that I've gone by myself since before I got sick more than a decade ago. And it put me to the test. And I'm going to talk about a few of the things that I learned. But today I'm going to talk about a day that I just tilted into overwhelm. I got a cold, and I was going to have to go see the doctor because I suspected I had an ear infection. And, telehealth can do a lot of things, but ear infection diagnosis is not one of those things. So I had to drive myself to the doctor, and I do not drive frequently. And there was construction on the interstate, and the person in front of me was kind of picking which lane to be in. And once they slid back over into my lane, they slammed on their brakes. And I, of course, in response, had to slam on mine. And there was a package in the seat next to me, and that package dramatically slammed forward, hit the dash, then, deposited itself in a dramatic pile on the floor. And I lost my bearings. I came within inches of rear-ending the person in front of me, and that was all the evidence that I needed to be certain that I was a terrible driver. I should never drive again. I came home, and I hadn't had the energy to wash the dishes that I had made the night before, and packages were arriving because it was the start of the month, and I stock a lot of our dry goods and household supply needs through Amazon Subscribe and Save, which is so handy and helpful, but man, it's not always streamlined. They often come in more boxes than they ever should. And so there I was with the countertops a mess from both my dishes and now the things that were coming in through the mail. And I called my wife on a video chat, and we were laughing together, and I said, I'm not doing great. I'm not keeping up with things. And I turned the camera angle so that she could see what was happening on the counter. And she was like, whoa, that is a mess. And I fell apart. And then she felt like a jerk because she thought that she just insulted me. But what in fact was true was she hadn't insulted me. She just confirmed the harsh criticism that I was already feeding myself such a steady diet of. And we got off the call. We repaired later, but we got off the call right then. And I did what I do in moments of overwhelm and stress. I just kind of fell apart. I had a cry, not as cleansing or therapeutic a cry as I would like, thanks to lung capacity, but a cry nonetheless. And then, y'all, this is where this pays off. This work that we do around tending our spirit and building these habits pays off, because I had the inclination to walk myself back to self-compassion, because it is a practice. It is not a place where any of us just dwell 100% of the time in ascended states of ever-ready friendliness and all-encompassing light and love toward ourselves. It is a place that, if we practice it regularly enough, we can remember in those terrible moments where I am thinking the most horrible things about myself. I'm guessing you can relate, whether it's when you lost your cool when parenting, or you said that judgy thing to a friend, or the way in which you're just not meeting your own expectations, as I wasn't on that day, that I could stop and say, this is a hard day. You have an ear infection. Of course you're overwhelmed by doing tasks that ordinarily aren't yours to do, Annette. Tomorrow is a new day. You can start again then. And letting myself off the hook. And then finding an activity that nourished me and allowed me to feel a little more free of what had happened. Calling my wife back and reassuring her about the fact that she had not been responsible for for my breakdown, and getting on about the business of living. So, more to come on stories of Annette alone for 18 days. But that's one. We all hit these thresholds inside ourselves, and it's not so much about never hitting them, but about how do we recover? How do I recover when I do? This is why we tend our spirits. This is why we generate these practices. And I wonder about yours. So sound off. Let me know about your moments of overwhelm or about your moments of recovery. And until we're together again, I thank you for being here with me. And I hope that you are generating kindness, friendliness, moments of compassion toward yourself. Until we're together again, thank you, and be well.